Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you in good health and spirit. Today is a Sunday, but still I'm making this video. The title of this video is going to be Historical Models Used to Study Hinduism Are Indeed Utterly Obsolete, but we should not walk or fall into the Hindutva trap. Okay, the essence of my message is the historical models that have been used to study Hinduism over the past couple of decades are naturally horrendously obsolete and antiquated given the fact that there are no solutions, meaningful and comprehensive solutions that have been presented to the Aryan problem and other intractable issues. Okay, let us begin this video by talking about Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ambedkar needs no introductions to Indians. He has once been voted as the greatest Indian of all times. He recently has had a fan following, small fan following in Africa as well. Some African leaders want Ambedkar and not Gandhi to be India's brand ambassador. The reason for this is Gandhi is sometimes accused of being a racist. He was just a man of his times. To understand the zeitgeist of his times, he spoke about Kafirs as being indolent, slothful, lazy, and good for nothing also. Ambedkar's father was a Subedar in the Indian Army. He was the 14th and the last child of his father. Bhimrao Ambedkar also later went on to become an eminent jurist, economist, social reformer, and political leader. He also headed the committee drafting the Constitution of India. He also served as the Law and Justice Minister in the first cabinet of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He inspired the Dalit Buddhist movement in India. He converted famously to Buddhism in October 1956 in Nagpur in front of a large gathering or congregation. A couple of months before he passed away due to complications from diabetes. Now, let us actually talk about what Ambedkar had to say on Hinduism. Actually, what we believe is compartmentalizing Indian religious traditions into Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism may be flawed, but we'll speak more about that later. Okay, Jainism, Buddhism, all these were mostly derived, even though Buddha spoke out against the Vedas and all that authority of the Vedas. They were based on local traditions. Even Sikhism, to a large extent, was based on local tradition. I had spoken about the symbiotic approach to social culture. It is really difficult to state that one tradition will not borrow from earlier traditions. There could be exceptions. Even Islam borrowed heavily from Judaism. However, there could be exceptions because Muhammad spoke out against idol worship and all that of his time. And Ambedkar also clashed famously with Gandhi on the issue of Dalit rights or Dalits or low caste Hindus. However, he played a major role in giving Dalits their social rights. Some people also accuse Gandhi of harboring old-fashioned ideas on caste, and Gandhi is accused of not having fought for the rights of the African people when he was in South Africa. He fought only for the rights of the Indians within double quotes Indo-Aryan people. Okay. However, Ambedkar's views on Hinduism were not very encouraging, and he's even believed to have once said, "I think this is a fact. I was born a Hindu, but I solemnly assure you that I will not die a Hindu." That is why he converted to Buddhism in October 1956, and he administered 22 vows to his followers not to worship Hindu gods and not to worship as a reincarnation of Vishnu, etc., not to take part in rituals, etc. Ambedkar's further thoughts on Hinduism are as follows. Ambedkar even is believed to have gone on record saying the first and foremost thing that must be recognized is that Hindu society is a myth. He said the name Hinduism itself was a foreign myth. It was given to the Mohammedans, to the natives, for the purpose of distinguishing themselves from them. This is only partly correct. The word Hinduism does not occur in any Sanskrit word pertaining to the Mohammedan foundation. While this may be correct, essence of Hinduism must be borne in mind at all times because some aspects of Hinduism is 5,000 years old or older. They did not necessarily feel the necessity of a common name because they had no conception of having a constitutive community. This is not necessary too because there were north-south contacts in ancient India from Buddhist times onwards. Hindu society as such does not exist. It's only a collection of castes. This is wrong. I don't believe in this. Each caste is conscious of its existence. This may be fine, but people are merging with each other more and more, and the idea of caste is being annihilated and it's being obliterated gradually. Its survival is for the be all and end all of its existence. I don't believe in this. Castes do not even form a federation. A caste has no feeling that it is affiliated to other castes, except that when there is Hindu Muslim, right? On all other occasions, each caste endeavors to segregate itself and distinguish from the other caste. Ambedkar is only partly true. To very small extent is true, and very small part in measure. And Hindu India has a 5,000 year old civilization starting from the Indus Valley civilization, which was a major civilization. Caste was not always the basis of Indian society. As a matter of fact, Ambedkar's views are obsolete and grossly oversimplified. They are not founded or based on the latest historical model. They are also symbolic of a binary thinking. If one reads a historical model, it apparently apparent that Ambedkar's ideas fallacious and antiquated. There was never any discontinuity on the Indian culture. It's read my approach and symbiotic approach to social culture. Usually, it would be logical that one cultural tradition takes from early, it's a melange synthesis in a process of ethnogenesis, new traditions get being formed. But older traditions always contribute to newer traditions. If this can be, there can be exceptions to this, but this has to be justified and quantified and adequately represented and presented to the public. Okay, and IV's Indus Valley civilization was also not widely known to Ambedkar in that time, even though it had already been discovered by the early 20s. Ambedkar even called the Vedas a worthless set of books, but Ambedkar did not mention the fact that Hinduism has a rich literature, it has Upanishads, it had Bhagavad Gita, etc. He did not mention that Hinduism had a tradition of critical inquiry, Mimamsas, Nastika, Astika, Jnana, Ajnana, Vaisheshtika schools, etc. Ambedkar even went on to say, I don't agree with this. To put the matter in general terms, Hinduism and social union are incompatible. This is not necessary because caste is only a pale shadow of its former self. By its very genius, Hinduism believes in social separation, which is another name for social disunity. We will create social separation. I don't believe this at all because there was Brahmanism and all that, but caste it existed in some regions of India very strongly, some regions of India less strongly, and there were variations across time and space too. If Hindus wish to be one, they need to discard Hinduism. I don't believe in this. They cannot be one without violating Hinduism. I cannot believe in this. Hinduism is the greatest obstacle to Hindu unity. I cannot believe in this. Hinduism creates cannot create that longing to belong, which is the basis of all social unity. I don't believe on this. On the contrary, Hinduism creates eagerness to separate. I cannot believe to this. Leave it to readers to decide to what extent Ambedkar was right and what extent Ambedkar was wrong. Ambedkar, however, may have had unfortunate experiences, cannot be faulted entirely here. He was just a man of his time. And at the time, probably around 150 years ago, the invasion of Alexander the Great 324 basis BC was considered to be the first reliable era in Indian history. Later, it was pushed back to around the time of the Buddha, and in 20th Indus Valley civilization was discovered. Only now, past 10 15 years, people are beginning to research on the Mahajanapadas. That is why I strongly believe and encourage you to think twice. And historical models to study Hinduism are, sorry, I have to drink some water, are naturally obsolete, and I would look forward to this Hindus and non-Hindus alike, scholars from all over the world to study Hinduism based on the latest historical models. That is why even Kancheleya's ideas are obsolete. He was a contemporary social Dalit activist and social reformers. He even went to the extent of saying that he hated Hinduism. However, I would consider him to be a Hindu in most terms and most respects. He even wrote a book, Why I Am Not a Hindu. This was criticized by Romila Thapar. Okay, so what I was saying, even low caste, so-called low caste Hindus, different caste Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, they also contributed to Hinduism, Indian traditions. It's not necessarily Vedic culture alone contributed to Hinduism because idol worship and all that came from non-Vedic sources initially, as well as many other liturgical traditions. Okay. Similarly, Kalburgi also was a man of his time. He may have had a negative idea about Hinduism, but he was a left-leaning intellectual. Gauri Lankesh was left-leaning too. She called Hinduism assortment of castes. It was designed to keep women subservient to men according to her. Her ideas are also obsolete. Okay, and religion is also associated with social, cultural, economic, political, personal, collective functions. It will not decline gradually, slow, easily. It can, however, decline gradually. From what I have done, even Romita Thapar's ideas are hopelessly antiquated and obsolete. So are Irfan Habibs, because they are passed of an older generation. And even KM Sri Mali's ideas are obsolete, and Meera Nanda's ideas are also obsolete. Marxist scholarship is also definitely one-sided. And when have they ever spoken about science or objective Marxist scholars, when have they spoken about progress and the need for objective and up-to-date historical models? Never. Never. So, what is exactly Hinduism? Hinduism is an amalgamation of many different belief systems. Indus Valley civilization also was probably culturally diverse, and IVC had no caste system. It had only a hierarchy. Post-Harappan India itself was probably culturally very diverse. Caste system was never a defining feature even of post-Harappan India, though it existed. Untouchability came into use much later in the caste system. There were therefore different trends in India, different points in time. Hinduism is not based on any one tradition. Many other cultures also contributed to Hinduism. The rich cultures were Gangetic plains, Dravidian cultures, Munda cultures, etc. Minor cultures in North India, South India, Central India, etc. So, historical models to study Hinduism are indeed utterly obsolete. People also use the term Dravidian Aryan wrongly. Aryan is only a cultural term in the Rig Veda. Dravidian is in Sanskrit literature, it is a geographical expression. The term Dravidian itself came from North India. Okay, and what exactly is untouchability? The term untouchability is used to refer to the practice of discrimination against individuals based on the caste occupation. Extreme versions say that you cannot touch a low caste Hindu, and even see your shadow may defile and pollute them. They were not allowed entry to the temples also. Okay, and however, caste system did exist in the Rig Veda, but untouchability came into vogue much later. When they divided into how many portions did they make? What did they call his mouth, arms? What did they call his thighs, feet? The Brahmin was his mouth, of which his arms were Rajanya made. His thighs became the Vaishya, from his feet the Shudra were produced. Rig Veda 10, 19, 11, 12. Okay, Manusmriti also was compiled several centuries after Buddha. Therefore, caste system only legitimate gradually. It was never a basis of Hinduism also, because Western interests will always be wrong. There's nothing wrong exactly, because Manusmriti, which is also known as the Manava Dharma Shastra laws of Manus, were many texts, and even in Rome we had inequality, plebeians, patricians. In many parts of the world, ancient parts of the world, we had this kind of discrimination. So India alone is not unique, and we have to emphasize the importance of bringing Hindu model wants to study Hinduism opportunity in Western scholarly and Western academic circles. This is also extremely important. Okay, Manusmriti is dated to around first to third centuries after, right, long after Buddha lives, 700, 800 years. It was around more than 2000 years after the Veda was compared, 3000 years after the Indus Valley was civilization flourished and existed. Manusmriti was translated into English by William Jones in 1776. Ambedkar famously and publicly set fire to Manusmriti on December 25th, 1957, saying that Manusmriti institutionalized caste operation. It justifies operation and exploitation by one set of people by another set of people. Okay. On the other hand, Hindutva groups want to whitewash the caste system. They say that the caste system is attributed to the Portuguese term casta. However, some form of discrimination did exist in ancient time. We have to bear this in mind. However, we must not brush it under the carpet, but must learn lessons from it. And Hindu society in future must be based on egalitarianism, concept of equality. At the same time, the importance given by people to religion must gradually come down among Hindus Muslims also. This must be a gradual process, but this must be one of the strongest movements of the 21st century. We also need balanced and objective scholarship at all times. We must never oversimplify. India is a very complex cultural concept. There are many cultures, many traditions existing at a given point of time, and these were changing from time to time also. Okay, the discovery of the Indus Valley civilization was made by Sir John Marshall in the 1926. He famously announced it to the world when he said, "Now half it has been given to archaeologists. This was given to Schleiman and Tyrannus of Mycenae, Orelstein, this is of the case, but has made a famous statement, and he said the Indians can now be justifiably proud of their culture and tradition. Steve Farmer and others have been trying to bring down the importance of the Indus Valley civilization, but they may not succeed. Rai Bahadur, Daya Sam Sahni, and other Indians were also involved in these excavations. Full extent of the Indus Valley civilization was not known, but it has come to be known that it's now four times the size of Egypt or Mesopotamia. The importance played by the Indus Valley civilization to study of Indian culture is being realized only in the past few years also. Okay, so the Indus Valley civilization was not factored into studies during the time of Ambedkar, Gandhi, etc. Even Gandhi may not have been aware of this. Sarojini Naidu famously went to the US and she spoke about Hinduism, but she may not have been aware of the Indus Valley civilization. And Romila Thapa's views on history are obviously obsolete. Mahajanapadas also existed long before Buddha. It is idea that post-Harappan India was bucolic, peripatetic, and village-like is absurd because Mahajanapadas did exist. Chariots are not the folk vehicles of rural folk. Iron was being used and it was imported from West Asia. Alphabetic scripts were used reached my papers, and we had Mahajanapadas like Anguttaranayaka, Diganayaka, and Jainish texts. Bhagavati Sutra spoke about different types of Mahajanapadas: Anga, Magadha, Kashi, Koshala, Vachi, Malla, Vatsa, Chedi, Kuru, Panchala, Matsya, Surasena, Ashwaka, Avanti, Gandhara, and Kamboja, etc. And most recent researchers spoke about urbanization in Gangetic Plains. Herman Kumke, Dietmar Rotherman, Frank Argand Alchin, George Erdosy, Edwin Bright, Jim Shepard, Piotr, and Trivi Chelsea and others. So Hindutva people also, while we need to bring historical models up to date, this is very important because it will allow us to push our tradition, history and tradition thousand years backward. It will also contribute greatly to the understanding of human civilization. It will also help in studying transdisciplinary trends, etc. Transdisciplinary studies will be furthered and enhanced. Our Hindutva people also do engage in their own mischief and calumny and deceit and sophistry and slander. Okay, they shout out against myth and obsolete or half-man theory or beating a straw man. This is known as the Aryan invasion theory. This is outdated, oversimplified theory. Anyway, it's already dead. Robert Zeidenbach also says it is calls it shouting out against a myth. He calls it an outdated, oversimplified theory, and only some parts of the theory he says hold good. Okay, and context could only have been internal because it is highly unlikely, as Ramila Thapa said, that Aryans within quotes. Aryan cannot be used in a plural form. When I wrote my paper on the Aryan problem, two papers on the Aryan problem, I started from that approaches that were prevalent then, but I arrived at modern conclusions. Okay, so Hindutva people also are scared of the idea of Aryans within quotes having come from Central Asia from anywhere else. Central Asia Kurgan hypothesis it's a Central Asia is the most logical place from which migrations happen. This also tallies perfectly with my historical models. Okay, and as Witzel says of N.S. Rajaram Hindutva idea work, as Rajaram star dimmed, it is however renewed beating began again of a much more ancient cause, the Aryan invasion theory. As of this point, nobody believes in the Aryan invasion theory. Okay, only complex equilibration models are the way forward. Indus Valley civilization is also not Vedic because there is a location mismatch. I have written about the coordinates of the Aryavata in detail. Indus Valley civilization lies to the west of the Aryavata. Apart from few Hindu proponents, one or two potsherds have been unearthed in Rakhigarhi, but Rakhigarhi opens out to the Arabian Sea, Ganga, not in the Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati or Gangaraha River and the Indus Valley open out to the Arabian Sea. Even the Indus Valley or Sindhu River is known in the Vedic text, but it doesn't mean that Indus Valley civilization is Vedic. And the Vedic homeland is in the north, and the Indus Valley civilization originated from Meherka in Baluchistan. Timing is also wrong. Indus Valley civilization declined by 1900 BC, disappeared 1300, 1400 BC. You cannot just see items. You have horsebones claimed in Sokotada and Kalimangan, you have fire Vedic fire altars. It is possible, and we must use them to study equilibration models. Horsebones also may have existed in Sokotada and other places. It doesn't mean that all 10 million people in the Indus Valley civilization not were riding horses or in ancient India. Saraswati of Gagarhakar may be correct. It is described gloriously in the Vedas, but it doesn't mean that Indus Valley civilization is Vedic. Okay. Easternmost tip of Indus Valley civilizations are Alamgir Kurd. Vedic homeland Aryavata existed till the Bengal border. Sanskrit was also a liturgical language, not language of the masses. If all of Hinduism is Vedic, where does the rest of Hinduism come from? Hinduism is not just Vedic culture alone. Initially, Vedic culture did not even encompass idol worship. So it is wrong to claim that all of Hinduism is Vedic. And no pre-Vedic and post-Vedic empire. This is also Hindutva canon is a deceit. It's wrong. Diversity actually adds beauty to Hinduism. I'm proud to be Hindu because so many people are able to consider themselves, call themselves Hindus with a reasonable degree of pride, not just Brahmins. Brahmins have played a major role in cementing traditions in the Gangetic plains. Okay, Indus Valley civilization also cannot be driven, it's obsolete. Okay, I spoke to some Indologist, it is obsolete. No Dravidian places names in the northwest of India. No Dravidian object, etc. IBC was intellectually, was linguistically very multilingual. Many different languages were spoken there. My hypothesis is that they were Near Eastern. They spoke several languages, which included languages which much later came to be known as Prakrits. Okay. However, Prakrits, the name could not have been used there. We cannot project the present into the past. Okay. So we must need to Hindutva people also, according to Chetan, but he calls it a dense cluster of ideology suprematism. However, Ram Jethmalani and Arun Sharma state that Hindutva is not necessarily harmful. If they want to project Hindu culture, that is fine. Hindu traditions, that is fine, but they must not support pseudoscientific views of history. Okay, and they also indulge sometimes in conspiracy theories, Hindu groups like Hindu phobia. Mamshi Jewelry also accuses Western indulgence of Hindu phobia, while whether he's right or not must be proven based on fact and evidence. Okay, it could be correct. My observations are personally, I'm passionate about making India a scientific and intellectual superpower. So we must rewrite our history correctly. We must also help other developing countries in science. I've spoken about vertical collaboration, horizontal collaboration. Vertical collaboration is wrong. It actually is imposing a point of view. We had Germany judges, British laws. They may have done some service to India, but they definitely were handmaidens of colonialists and Christian missionaries, whatnot. Okay, so we want to help make us India a superpower in science and help other developing countries also. So we must write our history accurately. This is of paramount importance. At the same time, historical models used to study Hinduism are obsolete. So we must create awareness among scholars, researchers in the West about this, and science will improve and progress greatly. Thank you very much again for giving me a patient hearing. Bye.